the typical classroom today, what happens is the student is delivered information from their teacher. If they're allowed to discuss things, they're very restricted about how they're allowed to say things. Everybody's heard of political correctness these days, right? Well, what is that really about? That's about worrying that what you're saying is going to offend somebody else because of their race, creed, color, religion, or background. What happens to your ability to think when you feel restricted that way? Your thinking is strangled because you can't go over all possible ideas if you're worried that something you're going to say is going to offend somebody else. This is a serious problem throughout the country. They are being ridiculed and they're being punished for disagreeing. So another thing that happens is if you bring a speaker to campus who has ideas that don't fit with the general views of political correctness, for example, David Horowitz is very famous for this, you get what's now called the heckler's veto. In other words, the audience who disagrees with them feels that it's okay to make so much noise and so much trouble that the speaker can't actually get his ideas across, and basically shut down the whole speech by heckling, by a subtle use of force, in my point of view about this. And the administrations are not stopping this from happening. At our college, students will not be restricted to talking only about what's considered politically correct. They will be encouraged to express ideas, to explore ideas that they are thinking about, regardless of whether it might offend somebody else. If it does offend somebody else, then there are reasonable ways to deal with that. And that will also be addressed in the classroom. Because you see, that's a very important skill for a young person to learn. How do you convey your ideas? How do you reasonably discuss ideas and disagree with somebody else and not necessarily personally offend them? There are different ways to handle that. What is a rational discussion about? So in our school, we're going to have a full range of ideas. We will invite people of contrary points of view. We'll invite socialists. We'll invite feminists, socialist feminists. We'll also invite conservative Christians. We'll invite Zionist Jewish people. Perhaps we'll invite Islamicists who might want to give their point of view about things, as long as they do it in a civilized and rational manner and actually discuss the ideas with one another. That's one thing that's very important. If you're teaching people how to use their reasoning skills, they need to be free to think about the ideas. Otherwise, they can't ever learn how to use their mind properly.